The students that I see in my writing centers are 50% ESL students, and so they come for help, sometimes because their teachers have sent them, and sometimes because they know that they need the help. We see a wide range of skills and needs. For example, we see a few undergraduate students who come with difficulties because they don't know what a thesis statement is, or they don't know how to use a computer, or they don't know what an introduction and a conclusion should look like. So it's a very, very basic type of help that the undergraduate students need, and sometimes they also come for grammar. Most of the time they come for grammar help. But we try to show them that improving their grammar is not the only way that they can improve their writing. In fact, we tell them that it's a waste of time to help them with grammar first, and that they should look at the bigger picture and make sure that they have a good thesis statement, make sure that the introduction and the conclusions are okay before they look at grammar. Grammar should be the last thing that they worry about or that they look at in their paper. Then we see a lot of graduate students who are ESL students, and those are the majority of our clients. They have to write theses and dissertations, and their supervisors are often overwhelmed with the mistakes that they make, so they send the students to us. And the students come with a thesis or a dissertation, 200, 300 pages, and they say, my advisor wants me to get my grammar fixed. So it's an interesting challenge because these students are completely different from the undergrads. They know their stuff. They know the content, and we usually don't know the content. We don't know anything about electrical engineering, or we don't know anything about physiology or anything like that. So we have to change the way that we look at things and talk about structure only, and a little bit of grammar too. Because that's really what will help those students. So we cannot talk about thesis statement. We cannot talk about, argument development like we do with undergraduate students. These students know their stuff. So we try to help them with grammar and structure. For example, if we don't understand the content of the text, we will look for keywords. For example, if you are comparing two ideas, do you have in the first paragraph on the one hand and in the second paragraph on the other hand? That's something we can understand and we can help the students with. Otherwise, we cannot help them with the content that most of the time we don't understand. So ESL students really come with a very interesting set of problems, and everybody is different. And what I tell my tutors when I train them is that they need to be flexible, and they can never assume anything. Especially, they should not assume that all ESL students are deficient, because that's really never the case. They might have difficulties in one area or another, but most of the time they're extremely brilliant in something else. So we really look at ESL students as people who simply go through the steps of learning a new language, and we try to think about the best way that we can help them. And most of the time it's just by asking them, what kind of help do you need? What kind of difficulties do you have? What kind of problems do you encounter when you write? And then we try to help them with that as best as we can in 30 minutes. But sometimes they come back. Often they come back, especially the graduate students, for sessions every week or with the same tutor, so that then they develop a good relationship with the tutor and can really improve their writing.
Really, I think the big factor to consider when you're thinking about ESL students is the culture that they grew up in, and the culture that is connected with their primary language or their first language. That's going to tell you a lot about the student that you're working with. And so different ESL students are going to present different challenges. If their first language is French and their first language is Chinese or Vietnamese, those are vastly different cultures with different traditions in terms of the way that they're going to respond to your classroom techniques, the way they're going to respond to you as a teacher, and so on and so forth. And these will all be different challenges that you'll need to encounter as you go along. So that's one of the things to keep in mind, is what culture are these students coming from, and how can I get them connected to an American style of learning, and how can I get them invested in the way that we write in this country.